Where shall we start?
Should we start with Blink, which is
All right. Yeah,
we'll start on a sad note and then we'll get a little bit happier.
All right. All right. Oh, Rob, you know what? I think we're recording on a Friday. We don't really record on Fridays very often, but I've needed some time to reflect and think about the sad state of my app, Blink. And we're going to pour one out today for Blink and raise a glass to what's left of my app after Apple killed apps from the affiliate program.
From a selfish point of view, I was so sad because I was really excited to get the Mac app, and I even had some ideas about affiliate linking for the App Store and doing some stuff, and they, for anyone who doesn't know, they've taken away any kind of cut for referring people buying apps on the App Store, so now it's only left for movies and TV shows and stuff like that.
Right.
And yeah, I kind of saw the news and I was, like I said, a bit selfishly, I was annoyed that I couldn't use, I'm not going to get to use the app long term. But I mean, for you, this is awful. I mean, you had the 3.0 come out, you had the Mac app ready. We were, obviously the last episode, we spent a lot of time talking about it and we were so excited and it's going to launch soon and it's going to be great. And then Apple have just killed it overnight.
Yeah, literally we submitted it to App Review less than 24 hours before the news broke. So it was like the night before, and this happened. This happened right around dinner time. I was out for dinner with my family, and I got a text from Mike Harley telling me that this had happened, and I just immediately, I had that pit of the stomach feeling because I knew what it meant, which was it really just kind of guts the app in a lot of ways because most people use it for affiliate linking of apps, and that's what's been taken away from the affiliate program. It's interesting to me because a lot of people reported the story like the affiliate program was going away entirely, and I think that's because so many people associate it only with linking apps because that is what's done predominantly, I think, at least in our circles. That's what a lot of people do.
Yeah, and I can think of lots of examples where sites are running on specifically apps and the affiliate program. In terms of movies and TV shows, I assume, outside of our tech circles, there are movie review sites and TV show review sites, and there's a couple of websites and apps that will show you kind of price drops for movies and stuff, which
Right.
I use fairly regularly. I use one called Cheap Charts, and I assume they're using affiliate links because why wouldn't they? But yeah, the app stuff is just really, really hard. I mean, I think Touch Arcade put an article up where you could just kind of tell the guy who'd written it. I guess it was the guy who runs that site.
Yeah,
was just so. I imagine it was kind of reflective of a lot of what you were feeling in some ways. Like he was just so defeated, and what can I do?
Yeah,
I think they said they had a Patreon, and maybe his post will boost his Patreon a bit. But I mean, independent reviews are really important. Whether it's you and the rest of the team over at Mac Stories or dedicated sites that only do sort of app review. That kind of thing is important, but they've got to actually fund it. I mean, it's always been kind of nice because those kind of sites they're not beholden to advertisers per se. They can kind of just review
Right.
stuff and they make, maybe it's a really good game and they'll make loads of money, but there's always going to be a little bit of money there for them reviewing the apps, whereas now it's just going to be a little bit harder, and I guess some of these sites are just going to go away.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of stuff to unpack, as they say, with all this. Because, for instance, Touch Arcade, I saw a lot of people saying, "Well, they never should have relied on just affiliate money," and I think people that's a pretty glib way to look at it. They didn't just rely on affiliate linking. They found themselves in the position of just relying on affiliate linking because they do have ad revenue, and they did have more ad revenue in the past. And this is all in that article that you mentioned. But that that's dried up for a lot of websites over the years, and that's really true, especially in gaming, because games aren't paid up front anymore for the most part on mobile. They're, especially for something like Touch Arcade. I mean, the big games are all free to play, and the marketing money for games is not being put into websites like it used to be. So they found themselves relying more and more heavily on affiliate linking. And then they, as you said, they try to do a Patreon. And they just haven't been able to find, is from what I can gather reading this article, they haven't been able to find a business model that works, that spreads the risk out at all, which is really unfortunate because that's a fantastic site. I mean, they do a really good job, great reviews. I read it very frequently myself, and I'd hate to see it go away, and I hope they'd be able to figure it out and come up with something that works. But there are a lot of sites where this is a significant amount of money. We're super lucky because at Mac Stories, Federico, a long time ago, kind of saw this coming and started diversifying the revenue that Mac Stories makes. But, it was a much bigger piece of the site long before I was writing there. And that's, in part how he bootstrapped it up to the size it is today. And that's not an avenue that someone today could take. No one could take that same path that he took, 9 years ago, which is tough. I mean, affiliate linking money has been shrinking for years, and it's especially been, I've noticed it since I've been writing at Mac Stories, because subscriptions are hard on it, in-app purchases were hard on it, freemium is hard on it. There are a lot of things that have made caused the affiliate money to shrink. So if someone came to me and said, hey, I'm going to take away one source of money that you make in a year, which one is it going to be? I would definitely tell them to take the affiliate money, because it's the smallest thing. So it's not like it's devastating to me personally or to the site, which is great. But I also had the added kick in the stomach that it's, my app is largely based on it. And that app, Blink, is not an app that was making very much money. With the Mac app, I was hoping that there was some chance there might be a decent revenue stream coming there. I won't really ever know that now, I don't think. But it has a lot of, kind of, I guess, sentimental value, because it's really how I got started doing kind of indie stuff, was with that app. I work on it with my son, and I don't think we're going to be spending a lot of time on that anymore. But I don't think Blink is going to completely go away. We still use it at Mac Stories, and it's still a handy way to grab a link for a story, whether you're making money off that link or not.
Sure.
So, I think we're going to keep it around. I just don't know. I mean, one thing I could do is just put it in perpetual beta and take it private, basically, and just use it for our team, because I don't really have, I have a tip jar in there, which I've made a grand total of $50 off of so far in a week. And, I made Blink free. We did release 3.0 on iOS and made it free. And I don't know, got roughly 2,000 downloads or so. And I do worry about that a little bit, because there may be, support associated with that. So I haven't decided whether I'm going to. My initial reaction was pull it from the store October 1 when the affiliate money goes away with apps. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. Even if it is removed from sale, it'll still be available to re-download if you've already bought it or downloaded it or whatever. I'm not going to completely remove it where you can't get at it anymore. But, ongoing development, I don't think so. I think it's basically finished. I could see maybe making a tweak here or there just to keep it running on future iOS versions, mainly selfishly for myself and for the Mac Stories team. But it's really not. It's really not something that is worth me spending time anymore on. And I don't know what's going to become of the Mac app. We may release it as a free app. We may. I think the reason not to do that is, again, just having a bunch of support that we don't have time for when we're not making any money. So maybe we charge some money for it, mainly just to keep the numbers of downloads down, which seems like a weird thing to be trying to do. But or I may, because it's a Mac app, it doesn't have to be in the Mac App Store. I can just, I don't know, I can keep it for myself because I use it every day. And even with the affiliate money gone, it is a fast way to research apps on the App Store, copy release notes, and grab a quick link and drop it in an article. So there is some utility to it, but it's not the kind of utility that we can charge any kind of significant amount of money for, which is what we were hoping to do. So I don't know. I mean, it was kind of depressing, obviously, and I think the thing that bugged me more about any of this than kind of the personal effect it has on me and MacStories and others in the reviewing industry is just the way Apple handled it, because that email, it was a terrible email. I mean, it basically said, our App Store editorial is so great, we don't need you guys anymore, over and out. The tone of it was pretty awful, I thought.
Yeah, that was really, really bad. I mean, never mind the fact that Netflix is featured at least once a week in the UK store. I don't know what it's like in the other stores. But yeah, thanks. I appreciate what the App Store editorial team are doing. They do a good job. But they can't possibly cover... I mean, I think like a good example is like on MacStories. You and the team, and Federico, I guess especially, will review these apps that are like very, very in depth, and maybe it's kind of a niche market if you really think about the iOS market as a whole. With advanced stuff with like workflows and shortcuts and things like that. Like, these aren't necessarily what I would consider a mainstream app. The general member of the public's not going to download these kind of apps. Well, that kind of editorial is not necessarily going to be in the App Store, because that's not what they're looking for on that front page. So to say that the editorial kind of replaces all of that kind of stuff just really doesn't cut it with me.
Yeah, and I kind of don't really buy it either. I mean, look, I agree with you. I think App Store editorial does an excellent job. They do a very different... It's just a different approach than anything like MacStories, where we're we're a lot more in depth than anything you'll find on the App Store. But I have heard, I mean, it's always very third person through the grapevine that there were big sites and big social networks using affiliate links in advertisements here and there, and that they were generating extraordinary amounts of revenue that way, or way outsized for what the programmers really intended, and perhaps that's what they were trying to fix by getting rid of it. But there are better ways to do that. You could do a tiered thing. You could say, oh, you can only, you'll get 7%, but you'll get 7% for like your first $10,000, and then beyond that it's 5%, and then at another level it's 4%. You could do it so that there's not an incentive for those super big players to try to get millions of clicks, because they're only going to get like 0.5% once they get beyond $50,000 or something. And that would preserve the smaller sites' revenue streams. But I suppose there might have been ways to game that too. Who knows? It's one of those things. It's, because it's Apple, you'll never really know what was going on there. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe we'll find out in a book in 25 years. When somebody will be writing some kind of story.
But then that's the other thing, is that it's affiliate linking, and it really is a little bit of navel gazing, because it really is like a very small community of people when you really think about it that use this. That doesn't make it any less bad the way it was handled, but the righteous indignation over this pretty much fizzled out within about 36 hours. So I think Apple's going to weather this storm, is what I have to say. And I'll tell you, though, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not happy about it. I don't really, I'm beyond it now. I don't really care as much as I did a few days ago. But I just don't like the way it was handled, and it bothers me to see. It feels to me super short-sighted too. It just feels like Apple's burning bridges with some of the people that have helped make the store what it is today, and for taking away what really has become kind of chump change. But the thing is it's just enough where it hurts, right? I mean, I'll be fine, like I said, but it's not insignificant amount of money either. It's not like saying, oh, I'm going to take $20 from you, John. It's over the course of a year, it's a decent amount of money. It's just that it's not, put you in the poorhouse money.
Yeah, definitely. Well, if you could quietly slip me a copy of the Mac app, that'd be great.
Yes. The thing about it too is the current beta version that I only had sent out to a few people before all this hit has a kill switch in it, and the kill switch hits next week. So pretty soon, everybody already has it too. It's not going to work for them either. Gotta get a version that doesn't have a kill switch in it and get that ready.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it sucks. I feel bad for you and Owen as well, because you both worked pretty hard on this.
It was pretty funny to go in things and just tick off. Here's like 16 items I don't have to do now. Delete.
Yeah, just tick off that entire project. That's done.
The entire marketing of the app was just blown away in one evening.
Oh well. Yeah. Well, here we are. As you say, you'll still be fine, which is good. I think that was my initial reaction. Was that kind of sucks and everything. But should we move on to something a little bit happier?
We should. We absolutely should.
So we finally seen. I don't know if you've watched this, but the Red Dead 2 gameplay trailer.
I didn't. I don't know why I didn't watch it. I think maybe I didn't want to be spoiled, but I do want to hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was at 4:00 yesterday. Everyone in the office just stopped, or most of us, we just stopped to watch this for 5 minutes. So this is the first of 2, possibly 3. They said there's definitely another one coming.
Okay.
So this one kind of, in the same way they did the Grand Theft Auto 5 gameplay stuff, it kind of explains when the game is set and kind of goes through sort of the basic mechanics of the game. So it kind of shows the camp where your gang's going to be, shows a little bit of the combat and walking around with horses and some of the wildlife and stuff. And just watching the video, like just everything looks beautiful. And they say that everything that's in the gameplay trailer has been recorded directly from a console.
Okay.
I assume either a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X.
Right.
But it looks amazing, and I'm even more excited to play it now.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it too. That and Spider-Man are the two that are really gotten me excited. I really still want that PS4 Pro. Have you seen that they're doing a 500 millionth anniversary issue? I mean, I don't know. That's not the right word. I mean, PlayStation has sold 500 million units over the course of the history, going all the way back to the PS1. And so they just announced, I think yesterday, a special version that's like translucent blue with gold trim and stuff. Did you see that?
Oh my god, I want it so much. I was looking, the first thing I did, I go to my bank account and I'm looking at my spreadsheets and I'm thinking, I really, really cannot justify buying this. But I really, really want it because, honestly, this is what I want. I want more translucent technology. I want stuff like the original iMacs with the the translucent back, PlayStation, anything. And I just want more translucency. And this console looks incredible.
So speaking of translucency, I guess it was 2 weekends ago, I went to Detroit and saw Stephen Hackett's iMacs. His G3s are on display at the Henry Ford Museum in Detroit.
You did? I think you'd been just before we recorded the last episode.
That's what I couldn't remember if we'd seen it. So I went and saw them. And so, I kind of agree with you that translucency is a thing that I'd like to see in more technology. I'd like to see him make a comeback. I mean, it was cool because that was the whole exhibit that his iMacs were in. It wasn't just about his iMacs. It was about translucency in technology. And I guess, the clear plastics that enabled that came out of World War II.
Yeah, I like this. We'll link it in the show notes as well. But this is a very, very nice looking console. I really don't want the Spider-Man one. I think that's kind of ugly. There's a Spider-Man PS4 Pro.
Yep. I like the controller. Really like I like the controller on that one.
The controller's pretty nice, but I don't like it's just got the big kind of Spider-Man logo on the top of it. I don't really like that.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not sure I can justify getting a PS4 Pro. I think my original PS4 will be fine.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming down to, because part of my calculus is I don't have a 4K TV, so I mean, am I going to buy a TV and a PS4 Pro? I mean, that gets pretty expensive very quickly. and I've already it's not like I have a broken TV in the house. I mean, I'd have to get rid of one of these TVs, and I don't know what I'd do with it. And yeah, it just becomes kind of a problem. You know what? I should have. I know I didn't mention this last time, but I should have mentioned we were at the Henry Ford Museum. Have you ever heard that story about the E.T. Atari video games that were buried in a landfill in New Mexico?
Yeah, I've heard about this because they dug them up a few years back, right?
They did, and they had some of the stuff they dug up at this museum. It was pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah,
these kind of crushed these crushed cartridges surrounded by dirt, and they had them there. It was just kind of neat. I mean, you'd have to have a really good, and we met the curator, who's the technology curator there, and she does an amazing job. She showed us like there was a guy at MIT who hacked the Xbox, the original Xbox. Mm-hmm. So that he could crack games and do other stuff and turned it into like basically a PC. And she has his original hacked Xbox, and she's really, I think, well tuned into what aspects of technology over the years are kind of pivotal and important, and but also kind of not the sort of thing that you would necessarily know about from the mainstream. And it was really interesting to talk to her, because that's her job, is to just kind of like find these artifacts of the last several decades and put them on display at the museum.
Yeah, that sounds. I mean, one, that sounds like a really cool job, and yeah, two, to kind of be that in tune to kind of know that you want to get like that Xbox, for example, which in general kind of it just feels kind of inconsequential. Like, yeah, he did a cool thing with it, but you'd have to be really switched on to know that that's like an important sort of artifact to keep in the kind of collection that they've got.
Right, and then to make it relevant and put it in context for people, it's not just the Xbox, which is kind of opened up and has all these, special parts soldered onto the motherboard and things like that. But she had all these magazines and newspaper articles and other things. Oh, and like all the legal documents when Microsoft sued this kid who was a student at MIT.
Of course.
All of this stuff together, so that you could kind of tell the story of what this Xbox was all about. It was really cool, and that is not on display yet. It was literally just sitting on a chair in her office.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that does sound cool. So the one thing about Red Dead is I have to wait till January to play it.
Why?
Because it's being bought for me as a gift for my birthday. Partially because I wanted the super deluxe edition with all the kind of extra content and the steelbook and stuff like that.
It comes with a horse. It comes with a horse, doesn't it?
Oh, I wish that would be cool. And with Spider-Man coming out in less than a month now, I'm already buying the collector's edition of that with the statue and everything. And I kind of just couldn't justify both, so Jess kind of said, look, I'll buy it for you, but you've got to wait till January. And I thought, well, that should be fine, to be honest, because Spider-Man's probably going to keep me going for a few months anyway.
Yeah, well. Have you played anything new on Switch? There's some interesting stuff coming out on Switch, like mostly smaller games, but Overcooked 2 is out, which has online multiplayer, which I thought might be fun to try sometime. And
I didn't realize it had online.
Yeah, it came out like 2 or 3 days ago, and yeah, it does have, and I haven't bought it yet. I haven't tried the online yet, so I'm not exactly sure how the matchmaking works or anything, but I think you can play with friends, people who you have, their Nintendo code or whatever. But Minute came out, I think, yesterday too.
Oh, what? I didn't know this.
Yeah, Minute, it's been on Steam for a while.
Yeah, I think we spoke about it.
Yeah,
a few months back, I think.
Yeah, yes, it's a RPG where you die every 60 seconds, but your progress is saved, so you're kind of pushing your way through this world 60 seconds at a time. And it's just gotten rave reviews from a lot of people. And I had been thinking about getting it for the Mac on Steam, but then when I heard it was coming out on Switch, I waited. And so this weekend I'm gonna play it on the Switch.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have a look right now. Oh, God, Nintendo's like website is so bad.
No, you actually go into the website. Yeah,
I'm trying to. I've clicked a link from Nintendo Life from their review.
Go to Devolver. I think the publisher is Devolver Digital, I think it's called.
That's all right. I think I've got it now. But this kind of happens every time. So I click a link, and because it sends you to the US eShop, it pops up and it says, oh, you're in the wrong region. So I click United Kingdom, and then it just sends you to the Nintendo homepage. It's really infuriating. It is $8.99 in the UK, so that's not too bad. So I will probably pick that up.
Yeah, no, that looks like a fun game. It's
yeah, I've still been playing. I can't remember if I mentioned this, but I bought Toad Treasure Tracker.
Oh yeah, Switch. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Have you played much?
Yeah, I think I've done like the first book, and then I tried a little bit of the Super Mario Odyssey levels, because you can unlock those with the wedding amiibo that we both got for Mario Odyssey. You know, the Bowser and stuff like that. If you pop one of those on the amiibo thing, it will unlock the Super Mario Odyssey levels early.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to try that. I'm not through the first book yet. I was playing actually a little bit last night. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of my speed, to be honest. I mean, I'm not much of a gamer, so I enjoy video games, but just wandering around, slowly exploring it as a toadstool, you know, it's the thing for me, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. The only thing I have a problem with is the motion controls. I assume you've been playing in handheld, right?
No, actually, I've been playing on TV.
Oh,
I know it's terrible.
I appreciate that it's come from the Wii U,
right?
And I guess I'm a little bit more attuned to this than some people because I've got a wrist issue, sort of permanent injury that I can't really do motion controls for extended periods of time. Mm-hmm. So using that motion control to like move what is essentially a cursor around the screen is kind of no good for me. So I have to play it in handheld, which is kind of annoying because I'm sat on the sofa in front of my nice TV and I can't use it.
I think overall, even though I do play on the TV a fair amount, I do think the Switch is better handheld.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
Too many games, I think, that, like, for instance, the text is so tiny on the screen. Even if you have a big screen TV, it's a little hard to read sometimes. Like Zelda is, a big offender of this. I think that wasn't originally developed for the Switch, so it doesn't. The text just doesn't work in a lot of situations on a TV if you're sitting far away. I think it works a lot better when you've got it, down in your lap, close up.
Yeah, I mean the Switch is still they're doing so well. It's such an amazing console that there's a lot of things to complain about, but in terms of doing the core thing, which is having decent games for it and playing games on it, like to be able to do handheld and at home, there's loads of games coming out for it. There's third-party support. I mean, it's just amazing that Nintendo have come back from the Wii U, which was just really bad.
Yeah, well, and we're at that point, which I always hope you get to on any given console that you buy, which is there are more games available than I can reasonably buy.
Yeah,
or more games that I want than I can reasonably buy. It's there's just a wealth of riches. You can find anything you want, and there's always more that you want, and that's not always been true with Nintendo's consoles.
No, it really hasn't. But yeah, when they announced it, I wasn't even that bothered. I think I even tweeted Mike something like, "I Nintendo don't care." I was really just like, oh, who cares? It's Nintendo. Like I'd kind of written them off, but I think that's a mistake. Never write Nintendo off because they're still going after all this time.
And they're really good at squeezing money out of people because they keep coming out with these new versions of the 3GS that make me want to buy them, or the 2. What I always screw up their naming. The naming
2DS.
Is so messed up. The 2DS.
The 3GS is a phone.
Oh yeah. Oh god. I'm sitting here. I was just telling Rob before we started. I've got like 5 iOS devices on my desk for various reasons that I won't explain, and so I've had a little bit of iOS on the brain today. But yeah, the 2DS has there's that one that looks like the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
There's the one I like a bunch of them. There's the Pikachu one. There's I think it's blue and orange-ish one. There's a bunch of really interesting ones.
Yeah, I still haven't pulled the trigger on a 2DS. I mean, the thing is, they've sold millions of them. If at some point I decide to get one, there's plenty of them going around.
Yeah, there's really no reason to get it either because it's really there's no advantage to it really. I don't think it's a little thinner. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a few games that are on there that aren't anywhere else. Like the 3DS is still the best place to play a decent version of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, because your choices are either the N64 or a 2DS, whereas of course like the 2/3DS version is upgraded and a lot better. But I'm not going to pay £100-200 or whatever just to play those two games.
Did you see that the online service from Nintendo has been pushed to the end of September?
Yes, I did see this.
It's very Apple style. It's like, well, it's coming in September, probably September 30th.
Yeah, it's whatever. I mean, this is one of the things I'm saying. Like, there are complaints to be had, but right now I'm still pretty happy with it. So.
Yeah, it's not that far off either. I mean, look, that's like what, 1 month and 3 weeks, and the 30th is a Sunday, so I'm hoping we actually see it on the 28th.
Yeah, and I'm going to be playing Spider-Man anyway, so I won't be caring about the Nintendo Switch Online for a few weeks.
Yeah, I know. I think I'll be doing the same. I think that'll definitely be what's happening in the fall around here.
Cool. Well, I think that'll probably do us for this week.
All right, sounds good.
There's a couple of bits in the notes, but we can save those for next week or whatever. So, show notes are at Broomnate Podcast / I know it this week. It's 69 this week.
Oh,
so,
there you go.
Nice. Yeah, show notes will be there. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. We're inching ever closer to the September Apple event, which will be fun, I'm sure. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
All right. Talk to you later, Rob.